You ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Borough Council meeting for October 29th, 2025. You could rise to say the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Grace?
Mr. Kliskevich?
Yes.
Mr. Lister?
Here.
Ms. Lloyd? Here. Ms. Reed?
Here.
Ms. Willenbecker?
Here.
Ms. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Redinger is absent.
Mr. Redinger called in and he's ill tonight.
I'd like to report on our last executive session. We discussed personnel matters. No action was taken. Now is the time for public comment on agenda items. Does anyone have any comments?
Kenny Whitebread, Fire Chief, Middletown Fire Department. Agenda item number 4, 2001 KME pumper truck repairs. I was advised that there was some mechanical failures with the pumper truck after it was sold last Friday to the department out near Pittsburgh. Apparently, while they were headed back out the turnpike, about 2.5 hours or 3 hours from here, it suffered a turbo failure, and they had apparently reached out asking if we were going to assist with anything in that. I'm giving my input and making sure everybody's on the same sheet of music when you guys go to discuss this. The vehicle was listed for $75,000 through the broker. This department is one of many that came to see the vehicle. They had questions about some things that they wanted repaired before they would make an offer. One was a leaking water tank. We took care of the repairs of the leaking water tank. Number 2 was the ladder rack is a mechanical ladder rack that goes up and down to make it easier to get the ladders off of the rig. That wasn't working properly. We got that repaired. It is working, was working. Also, the deck gun or the master stream device up on top of the cab, it was saying that it wasn't stowed in a safe manner. The light was blinking in the cab. That was a sensor issue. We took care of that. They submitted their offer. Their offer was for $15,000 less than what we were advertising it for. Their offer was for $60,000, which was approved. It is in my opinion and my department's opinion that it was sold as is, and it was $15,000 less than what we were asking, and we already made repairs on the vehicle at that time. I would strongly urge not to do anything with any further repairs. And that's all I have for that action item. Yes, ma'am.
May I ask a question? Do you know approximately how much you spent on the repairs, those 3 repairs you mentioned?
I do not. I believe 2 of the repairs, the ladder and the sensor, we repaired in-house. We have guys that know how to do that. We repaired that in-house. Poly tank, we were told that the tank was a lifetime warranty. They came down and repaired it in station. We haven't gotten a bill. I don't know if we're going to. You know how they say about lifetime warranties. So
Right.
I don't know if they're going to say, oh, well, this was above and beyond or anything like that. But I, to this date, have not gotten a bill for anything on that.
And do you know how much they're asking for repair of the turbo?
I didn't even know through the broker or the department. They did not reach out to us. Apparently, they reached out to Grace and the borough because you guys were the quote sellers. I heard about this late Friday, but that was because it got through the grapevine that the truck that was sold, you know, caught fire, and I was like, what? Caught fire? And then I found out, I don't believe it caught fire, it was a blown turbo. There are some other things, topics of discussion to go with that. That vehicle is 24 years old. That vehicle never had a turbo replaced on it since we owned it. That's probably the only vehicle we never had to replace the turbo on. That vehicle did not have any water in the tank and no equipment on it. So that vehicle did probably between 70 and 75 miles an hour if you were on the turnpike with that kind of conditions. So I don't know if that overloaded the turbo at that point, but I know that the vehicle was serviced and it was freshly inspected by the borough mechanic, and there were no defects that would have limited that vehicle from being sold.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kenny.
Good evening, Todd Webb, 735 Dietrich Avenue, also the Vice President of Middletown Volunteer Fire Department. I just want to verify that the proceeds from the sale of the KME pumper are going to the Fire Sinking Fund to support further apparatus purchase. That is correct.
That is correct.
Now, my resident hat. I saw the electric rates and electric rate increases and all that. Some of you may have been on council before when the water and sewer was leased to Suez at the time. There was probably chances then to vote no, veto, whatever, the sale of that. We all know how that made out. I mean, my water was $100, now it's over $300 a month. I'm not complaining, I'm merely providing context. I'm probably one of the few Americans that believe in small incremental tax increases and rate increases every year to keep up with demand. So I understand that there is difficult discussions and decisions to be made. However, if you can make those decisions now and save as much and keep as much in your piggy bank now, that helps you later on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Is there anyone else for public comment? Hi.
My name's Norman Goss. I reside at 51 Ann Street. If some of you might know me, some of you don't. All I would like to say is I think we should come up with a motto, and I think making a difference in the community for the borough, because I think you all can make the difference, and I would like to see the difference, because I know a lot of people down where I live are fixed income people, single mothers, grandparents that are raising their grandkids that they didn't think they were going to raise them, and every little bit dollar helps them. For example, if you're making $2,000, now you got your grandkid, you're not making $2,000 because you're taking care of that child. So now their income's a lot less. I would hope that you would pass and use the excess money and forego another year and then prepare everybody for a bigger increase, because I talk to a lot of the elderly. I walk every day. I meet the people. I've met 250 of the nicest people from Wood Street down, because I was one of the people that stopped Penn State Housing, and now we have a church again, thank goodness, which helped us better with our parking and fighting habits, because we didn't have, we fight to get parking spots.
Mm.
Sometimes we might have to park down on Market Street to walk up to Ann Street, but with them housing, we would have been walking further. And I'm glad I could help the borough stop it, and I would just hope you would consider all the elderly, all the low income, all the single parents. If you look at the school records, there's more people on reduced lunches and free lunches, and that tells you what kind of income Middletown has. all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none? Ken, item number 1.
Okay, in your packet, you have a resolution 2025-21, which is a resolution that's been prepared to freeze the current electric rates today through 2026. Through sometime in 2026, I know the mayor has proposed freezing for a year. I've heard some discussion. Some folks might want to entertain some other alternative. So at this time, Madam President, if you want to say something about
Sure.
that.
We've been talking here and there amongst ourselves, and we would like to compromise and freeze the rate until June 30th of 2026. So that's 6 months, add 2 more months on for this year. That's an 8 month. The concern is there's another rate increase coming in June of 2026, which gets applied in January of 2027. And if we freeze this rate till December, that's 2 rate increases at one time. So we've got to get to a point where we're kind of caught up in the increases and not constantly. Right now we're behind because we didn't implement that increase when it should have been implemented. So I want to help the people. I think 8 months is plenty of time. Plus, we've been talking about this since June. So that's my proposal to compromise for 6 months instead of 12.
I actually would like to add that, so when the rates first went up, they actually went up in July of 2025. That's when the borough saw the effects of the rates. And so the borough has absorbed the rates for the residents since July of 2025. Now, we did increase the customer charge this year, but we have been offsetting the rates since July of 2025. So if we do offset them for 6 months in 2026, we would be offsetting them for, I guess it would be 11 months total. So we would be giving almost a year of reprieve of the new rate, and then that gives time for, the long-term offsetting projects to come to fruition, so we would have an idea of what we can use from the trust, because at that point, it was a little shocking for me last week to know that we may or may not be able to use that trust fund, which I'm still not clear on. But I recognize that we do need to do something. So I am comfortable doing 6 months, because at the end of June, then we should, I would hope, at that point know, can we use them for solar, if that's back on the table? Can we use it for some other long-term project, and what that is going to cost? Additionally, I understand, the last 3 years, we have done really well with our interest from the trust fund, which is great, but admittedly, Mr. Curry said next year the interest is going to go down, and in 2020 and 2021, we grossed roughly $74,000 in interest. And if we have another year like that, that's not going to be good for the borough, because that trust fund money doesn't replenish itself other than the interest. And if we keep using that money and we don't replenish it, we're not going to have it. And that's a concern. And if we go 6 months and we know, okay, the interest is better than we expected, we can't use it for anything else than to offset the rates, then we're looking at a whole different scenario. And at that point, there's nothing stopping the borough from offsetting the rates again.
Right.
Right.
And I think to Mr. Webb's point, that doing it in a smaller increase, but again, to that point, at this, you know, at the end of June of 2026, we have offset it for a year. But doing a small increase, then you're phasing in the new increase in July when we're going out to auction for the new rates, because at that point, we're bidding again for the new rates.
Did Pat want to say
Pat, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're done,
No, that's it.
you're good.
Yeah.
This, to make it short and simple, I'm a no with a compromise. We've been talking about this for how long now? I'm not looking forward to talking about this in 6 months again.
Well, I think we're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to, but this plan sets us up through the next year. From the very beginning, when it was proposed, it was my belief that this is what's best for the town, and it still stands true to me personally. It's gonna take us a while to really figure this all out,
It is.
and that's why the longevity of the year span, I feel committed to.
Okay. If I could make like 3 comments on the compromise. I think the first comment would be that helping the residents with this increase is the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
How we do it is what this discussion is about. So I don't think that there's any disagreement on that. The possible wisdom in doing 6 months, for me, comes down to 3 points. The first, we talk about how much interest is earned, which is the money spent to offset the electric increases. If we choose 1 year, tonight, that entire amount, which totals about $805,000, that entire amount is taken from the trust at one time. And so we are losing interest on that amount, right? If we only go with 6 months, then we're only taking half that amount. The remainder stays in to earn interest. In June, and I understand no one wants to talk about this again, but I just think we're deep in to this discussion for a while now. In June, we'll know more about the rate increase for 2027 because the auction happens in June, and that's when we know what the increases will be for 2027. That way we can make better decisions because we have more information. The other comment around waiting until June is we will also, hopefully, know more about the generation projects, the generator, the solar, and how much they are going to cost and what impact that will have on the trust. And so half a year at a time is only meant to be a more prudent way forward, not that it's a disagreement around the way forward, a different way forward. So that's it for me on the compromise.
Okay.
Does somebody want to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-2021, freezing the current electric rates through June 30th or December 31st of 26? Those are your options.
Question. In terms of offsetting, if you were going to use the electric trust fund, would you be making a one-time payment like that, or would you be doing it?
No,
Well,
it's not a one-time payment. It's a transfer of money into a revenue account. So it is coming out of the electric trust. It's not making a payment, but it's gonna go into a revenue account to offset. So it would come out of the trust and go into a separate revenue account.
I guess in theory, though, you could do a series of
You could.
like monthly distributions or something.
So
Oh, you could?
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
We'd have
So
to-
that, I just want to say that when we don't get all the information, it's difficult. When we get sometimes some information, not all information, wherever that information came from, it seemed to be what was done. I'm not disagreeing that there can be other ways, but when we don't know that, it's always a
I
little
don't know that.
challenging.
Every time in the past we've done it, believe, it looked like it was one.
yeah, probably, well, all I'm saying
Yeah.
is, as far as the trust
Typically, we've
doesn't
done
say
it that way.
that logistics.
Well, we haven't had a time to really look at the trust yet, because that's number 2 on the agenda, to have you look at that and see what we can do.
And I'll be honest, I don't remember getting asked. I was asked the amount that we could move, but I'm not sure I was asked.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you wanted to say something, 'cause
I'll let you go first.
no, go ahead, ladies first.
Well, I do want to address one thing, and this is no disrespect to anything that you said. I respect your opinion, but I do want to address that we've been talking about this for so long because I do feel that as a body, we've had one in-depth discussion about it, which was last meeting, and that really opened the door for us to discuss where we were with it, and then, you know, we were going to talk about it at our next meeting, and here we are now, and we're forced to talk about it and make a decision because the budget was vetoed. And it's unfortunate, and I don't expect residents to be familiar with the rules that guide our actions. However, this body knows what the rules are, and that is that we can't vote on something that's not on the agenda. And I think it's unfortunate, and as you pointed out, Mayor, that you raise the issues before you bring them to public, as you can do so. When I had said about, you know, you went public with the issue last week, and you said that that's the way that you've operated for 12 years, as you can, that is your right. But that put us in a position that we didn't have a discussion at the table because it wasn't on the agenda. So now here we are, it's on the agenda, and we haven't, in my opinion, thoroughly had the discussions that we needed to have about this. And now we are forced to make a decision because our budget was vetoed because of this rate.
Mhm.
So I think that that's unfortunate, but here we are. So I want to be clear again that I don't expect the public to understand that council can't vote on something if it's not on the agenda, but in order for us to move on something, it has to be on the agenda, which it now is, and we are forced to make a decision on this without having all the answers. So for me, a compromise is 6 months, which is 11 months of offsetting the rate, which if you compare it to when council has raised taxes, we give essentially 2 to 3 months notice. I think that 11 months is pretty fair to prepare for possibly the next electric increase, which, you know, we know is coming.
Mhm.
I think this is a very good compromise.
I disagree with something you said. Last time was not the first time. We went through some specifics last time. We'd had an in-depth discussion when it was passed initially to increase the electric rates. We went around here for a while, and then a couple councilors on here said, oh, we need more information. Then we passed it. You passed it. And that's when you saw the mayor and Councilor Redinger get up out of frustration and me sitting here like, what just happened? We went around in circles, and it seemed like we were getting somewhere, and you just passed it through. That was the first time. In fact, before that, the mayor brought it up even before, and it was just kind of just looked past. Even myself, I didn't engage in the conversation at that point because I didn't understand it. So now that we kind of understand it a little bit more, I'm happy everybody's considering we're having a conversation. Like, this is good. We heard the residents, and you guys are saying, hey, we need to do something here. But, you know, again, I'm not willing for the 6 months. I'm standing with the 12.
Okay.
May I finish?
Mhm.
So, Ms. Willenbecker made a comment that we want to do something for the public. I don't think there's a disagreement on that. No, there has been. because I've been at this, beating this drum for months. It took me vetoing your budget to get to this point. We also have ignored the public, and that is ultimately to you who you answer to. You may think that this 6-month compromise, when I've offered 4, is somehow a deal. It's not, because you're ignoring the will of the people. I don't know how many, don't tell me that you have not been considering this and talking about it amongst yourselves, because we clearly already have the votes to do the 6 months, so to everybody watching, you know that's coming. But the bottom line is, you have been watching every interaction I've had with the public on this on social media. You know what the feedback has been on social media. You had people come to these meetings and say, we don't want you to raise the electric rates by resolution because you're taking away his right to veto it and have a checks and balances, and you ignored it and you moved forward. I actually was trying to protect either her or Jared Knob in their role, because when they sit here, they should have the ability to veto a rate increase in the future. That is what government is about. You shouldn't be controlling it unilaterally. There's a checks and balances for a reason. I was going to echo exactly what he said. To say that we only had one in-depth discussion is just pure falsity. I brought it up. I brought it up after the GDS presentation. I sat here. None of you didn't want to have a conversation with me. There have been people that came to the podium that said the minute he opens his mouth, you all close your ears. That's what happened the first time. The second time was the night that you chose to raise the rates. That was over an hour discussion. I actually thought by the end of that conversation, we were going to reach a compromise. I thought that you were going to offset the rates. Instead, we heard, nope, we need to get to September. Well, you passed the rates and you said, let's get to September 2nd. Then the last meeting was over an hour discussion. Don't act as if the only time you've thought about this was sitting at these tables, because that is not true.
No, that's not true.
Correct. So I don't want to hear that you haven't had the time to consider it, you haven't had the time to ask Scully the questions, you haven't had the time to bounce ideas off each other. This is months and months and months. And most importantly, you are ignoring the will of the people. That is where I come down on this. It's not about what I want, clearly, because if we had what I wanted, we would still be talking about the first option. None of you bid on that. And frankly, the public disagreed with me on that because they weren't worried about the customer service charge. So I had to back off of my initial proposal. I've offered you 3 since then. Now you're going to come to me at the last minute and say, this is a compromise, Mayor. It's not. This to me is saving face at the last moment, and it's still ignoring the will of the people. And I just can't disagree with you more on that. I just don't think that's fair. And you know, your focus on the rate increase or the auction that's going to happen in the summer of 2026. Well, then why the hell don't you people trust you paid $52,500 to GDS to tell you what you were going to have to pay in 2026? $52,500 you paid for a professional to basically give you that sheet of paper that we all have that says for 2026, total 2026 for 12 months, 805,512. That's what you got for 52,500. So the concern of, well, we don't know, it's scary. Then I guess you're saying that this is worth trash.
I
The
didn't say we don't know.
52,500. You are. You all are saying we'll be in a better position because we'll have more information. We'll know what happens with June. Who cares what happens in June? It's not applicable till January of 2027. This is 26, and this is what the people have asked for. So
It's 26, but I do not, and I will not support putting a double rate increase on anybody.
who do you answer to?
I answer to the people, but
Okay.
I think they're going to be pretty pissed off when you do it.
Well, I think they're going to be pretty pissed off when you don't. And that's going to be what's decided in the future. So to the public and to the public in attendance, that is where I leave it. I've done everything I can. I've offered you 4 compromises. We've beat a dead horse until there's nothing left to beat. You are now at a session of council where I have had to veto a tax resolution that actually had no tax rate increase in it, just to prevent your budget to force this conversation. And think about it. It was only then, it's only right now, after I had to do all that you're even willing to give 6 months. That's preposterous. But do as you please.
We might have to tell him he can't answer a question now.
Yes, sir, I can't answer questions right now. Okay, no problem.
You want me to read a motion? Is there any
Mhm.
more discussion? Should I read the 6-month, 8-month, or the 1-year motion? How do you-
You start with the 6
Well, let me
months.
just say it again, and one of you can make the motion, okay? Here's how you should make the motion.
Do you have anything to add? Okay.
You should, and you have this in your packet so you can see the number at the top.
Mhm.
You should move to adopt Resolution 2025-21, freezing current electric rates through, pick the end date, June 30th or December 31st, 2026.
Make the motion
For which date?
through the end of the year. Yep, resolution, 2025-21, to freeze the rates through the end of the year. Is that correct?
Is there a second? Seeing no second,
Motion failed.
motion fails.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-21, freezing current electric rates through June 30th, 2026?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I have one question then, in light of that motion. Rochelle, you previously sat here at a meeting and said that back when you were on council, that electric trust fund was used almost every year. That's a comment that you made to the public. My question is, how did you decide that back then, that you were going to do 6 months or a year, since you used it every year?
We automatically, which I thought was a bad idea, we automatically did it for a year.
You automatically did it for a year.
Yes, we did.
And did you vote for or against that?
Several times I voted in favor of it, several times I voted against it.
And when you guys did do that in the, I guess that would be in the early 2000s, fair?
Mhm.
And when you did that in the early 2000s, did you have any sort of polling for the public? Any sort of social media engagement? Any sort of huge turnout at the meetings to tell you what to do?
We would always have a huge turnout at our meetings. Meetings were always.
What's huge?
Well, 95% of the time it was standing room only.
Okay, do you know how many people that was here, back when you voted for that?
Can I be allowed to ask somebody real quick?
I don't care what you do.
Tom, do you have an idea how many people this room could hold?
Well, the capacity's right there. I think it says 42.
42?
That was just put up.
Pretty much.
Okay. So I guess my question is, so all those times that you passed it, because we might have had 42 people or less, considering you had to have the council sitting here, you know that the outpouring from the public now is far greater than 42. So why are you not willing to consider what, you made the motion, so I'm not picking on you, I'm asking you, because you made the motion for this 6 month. That's opposite of what the public has said.
Say again.
Sure. So, my point that I'm trying to make is that back when you used to do it every year, you said you'd get standing room only in here.
Right.
The number of people who have spoken out on this issue, right now, is far greater than that. So if you were willing to do as you wanted to do every year in the early 2000s, why are you not willing to do it now, when clearly the support is there to do it?
At this point, I'm looking at more of why we, how do you say it? We're gonna have to offset now, and then we're gonna have to offset again in 26. But then we're gonna end up getting a double whammy in 27 from the auction and the rate increase.
Well, you were doing that every year before, because your rates kept going up.
No,
You just said you used it every year.
yeah, but what the situation that we're dealing with now is totally different than what we were dealing with back then.
But I guess my question is, you made the motion, so do you believe, this is the last question I'll ask you. Do you believe the motion that you made tonight is consistent or inconsistent with the will of the people?
I think it's the best thing we can do.
I'm not asking what your opinion is. I'm just saying, is it consistent or inconsistent with the will of the people?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I haven't been getting any phone calls. Nobody's called me. Nobody said anything to, well, no, I had one phone call, I should say. And a friend of mine, thinks that we should offset, but not offset for a year.
So, do you believe that, I said I was gonna ask you one last question, so I lied. I agree with you on this. You only got one phone call.
I got one phone call.
And so you answer to the will of the people, and you can only gauge that by the people that interact with you.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. But we are a collection. We're a team here. So maybe you only got one phone call. I've tried to use social media to engage the public on this issue, and I can promise you that the number that's engaged on social media is staggering compared to one phone call. So knowing that we are a team and you're taking into account the information that we all bring back to this table, I repeat the question, do you believe it's consistent or inconsistent?
I wouldn't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And where were we?
You have a motion and a second on the floor? For, Resolution 25-21, freezing the current electric rates through June 30th of 2026.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Thank you for compromising and at least pushing something through for the people. I think we're going to regret this when we have to continue to talk about this mid-year and waste more time going back and forth. I almost rather you prefer just stick with your original, your original belief and just stuck with it and move forward. But nonetheless, thank you for talking about it.
I do have a comment before we vote. I have been talking to people. Not one single person has called me. I talked to a resident this morning and asked him his feelings, and he said, I don't even pay any attention to it. That's what I've been getting from the people I talk to. So I've been explaining what's happening to them. And
Well, if people don't pay attention, that's unfortunate.
It
But
is unfortunate.
But for the ones that are paying attention, their opinion matters. And it's
But
the same thing that,
freezing it for 6 months and looking at it again, I think we have a better view of what's happening. That's all. That's the way I see it. And I will not vote for anything that gives them a double increase in 2027.
I rest with, I did what I needed to do based on their feedback and the will of the people. You make the decision you want to make. There's a motion and a second.
I have one last thing to add. I think part of the issue with all of this is the fact that we have failed as a body to properly get the word out, as we have all noted, and we're basing everything on social media, and we can't make decisions when we're not properly introducing things and noticing the public. We had a resident stand up here last week and say, we're doing surveys and we're asking opinions, and she's getting missed every single time. She's not notified. So, I've talked to residents as well, and I've had residents say they don't want to have the increase taken. I've talked to residents that want it. So I've gotten a mix both ways. I don't follow every person at this table on social media. I stay away from it because, quite frankly, I don't want to be a part of it at this point. I thought we should have a town hall because, as I noted at one of the meetings, this doesn't have to be done until the end of the year before the rates have to be done. But unfortunately, because the budget was vetoed, it's all tied together, and we're forced to make this decision now, which is why I'm willing to compromise with the 6 months. But I think, unfortunately, this borough can't run based off of just social media. It has to be more than just social media. And I think going forward, regardless of where I am, I'm going to push that when important issues like this come up, because this is an important issue, we need to do more to inform all the residents, not just however many are following anybody at this table, not just Mayor Curry, but all of us, whomever is sitting at this table next year on social media, because not everybody in the borough has social media. Not everybody lives and dies by social media, even if they do have it. There needs to be better communication because we don't have a paper anymore. So whether that's having town halls, sending out mailers, I don't know what the answer is, but I think that's a discussion that needs to be had at this table at some point, because we are failing with our communication. And this is a prime example. When we have a resident standing up here saying, where are these surveys? Where are these questionnaires? Because, do you want to add something to what I just said?
I'm not interrupting you.
Well, you just shook your head.
Right, because I disagree with what you said, but I'm waiting my turn.
Okay. Well, a resident just stood up here last week and said, you know, where are the surveys, where the questionnaires, because she's getting missed every single time. That's telling. I mean, we have elderly people that aren't on social media that may not even be aware that this is happening. So we as a body and as a borough need to do better.
I agree. I'm sorry.
Everyone just shook their head yes when Miss Lloyd said, we have done a bad job as a body disseminating this information, which I agree with her because I've said this multiple times in the videos that I've done. So I agree with her because I've said it for months. But I find it astounding that everyone here would shake their head yes as she said that when some of you wanted to crucify me for saying that on social media because it made the borough look bad. And you know who I'm talking to. So, number one, that just shows you that this is a little bit of gamesmanship because you, specifically, were upset that I was saying we did a bad job as a body disseminating this information, and here she is saying it tonight, and you're shaking your head that you agree with her. So that's number one. Number two.
Can I just comment
no,
on that?
because
since
I have
you-
the floor.
Okay, you're right.
So then the resident that came to the last meeting that said, where are these surveys I'm getting missed? That very resident has followed my stories on Facebook because you can see who does. In fact, she liked something recently on my Facebook page. So she's not missed. She's clearly engaged. If you want to comment that you disagree, go ahead and do it. No one's stopping you. And to say we don't have a paper and so we can't live and die by social media. Every political player in our national government and our state government and here locally, social media is it. That's why the paper doesn't freaking exist anymore, because people don't read the paper. Social media is what people use, like it or hate it. Do I think that the elderly are missed then? Some. But I can tell you many people that are on social media that are, what age do you consider elderly? People use it. And so I don't think it's right to say, well, we can't just go by social media. Well, then who are you engaging? Are you going to walk door to door and touch 50 doors, or can I get 1,000 people on Facebook to engage? Which one is better if you're implementing the will of the people? You're trying to get the biggest bang for your buck to see who you can garner information from. So if you want to do it like it's back in 1950 and walk door to door and say, how do you feel about the electric rate increase? You might touch 50 doors. If you hop on social media, I can tell you how many views every one of these videos gets. I could tell you where they're from. I know the names of the people who live in town. The public from this town is heavily involved with it.
Anything else?
No.
Grace, can you call the roll?
Mr. Kliskevich?
Yes.
Mr. Lister?
No.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Willenbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item, Ken.
Agenda item 2 is the electric trust transfer to support the resolution that was just passed. Do I have a motion to direct the solicitor to draft the necessary documents to use electric trust funds to subsidize the wholesale electric power cost for 2026 in an amount not to exceed $402,756?
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
I'm sorry, can you read that number one more time? 702 or 402 what?
402-756.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
We didn't hear.
Oh, sorry, 5-1. Okay, item number 3.
Do I have a motion to override the mayor's veto and adopt resolution 2025-20, approving the 2026 real estate tax to remain at 11.161 mils, effective January 1, 2026?
If I could interject before you do that, remember that this is a special rule because it's a veto. Override requires the majority plus one of those elected officials, so that means a total of 5 would have to vote to override. It really should be a roll call vote, just so we're very documented.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grace, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Kliskevich?
Yes.
Mr. Lister?
No.
Ms. Lloyd?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Willenbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes. Motion passes 5-1. Okay, and Kenny already addressed item number 4.
Yep.
With the fire truck. And does council have anything?
Does council want to,
Do we have
anybody
to-
on council want to comment about the fire truck? We heard from the fire department. Anybody in agreement with that?
Do we have to vote on that or something?
No, just a
Oh, okay.
consensus so I can answer the,
Yeah, I'm,
Fayette
Oh.
Township people.
I'm with the chief over there. I don't,
Yeah, I agree with Pat.
As is,
It was as is, yeah.
Tom, as is.
It was as is, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Now is the time of general public comment. Is there any comment?
He can come.
Jennifer Fallinger, resident 138 Ann Street.
Can you use the microphone, please?
Makes me feel special. Yes. So first I would like to thank Ms. Lloyd and Ms. Miller for reaching out to me. Ms. Miller, I apologize. We suffered a death and my father was in a serious car accident. I have not been able to get back to you. And Mr. Curry, who has reached out to me on my opinions. We have about, 15-20% of our residents currently on LIHEAP. And we all know that the federal government is currently shut down. Guess who's not getting paid? Guess whose electric is going off because they can't afford to pay the bills? And we're talking about your elderly. We're talking about your disabled. And I'm not sure what the borough's policy is on what a bill reaches before we turn it off. But if there's someone here who can answer that, that would be awesome. Okay, I'll take that as a no. But we've just passed for 6 months, and we have residents now who can apply for LIHEAP. And until our government can get their heads out of their rear ends, sorry for the lack of politeness, there's no money coming. These people are not going to have heat. We are now putting our firefighters in a very difficult position because these residents are going to be using firewood and kerosene. And I'm not sure, without talking to Mr. Webb, the amount of fires that we have each year that are due to lack of heat and people supplying their own, such as floorboards, kerosene, and other items, which now puts our firefighters at risk because they've now got to go in and fight these fires. So now we've just raised to keep it steady for 6 months. What are we going to do after that? What if we don't get a bill passed in Congress and get these people help? They're also not getting food. I was wondering if there's any way amongst the group we could talk about doing a food fundraiser, maybe some kind of pickup or drop off somewhere besides the one that we have at the police station, which is great, but people are not going to be getting any food stamps. I myself am a recipient, and I know that, no offense, but a family of 3, I have to make $400 go every month for a family of 3, and Dad and I are picky eaters, the kid doesn't care. But I would like to thank those who did reach out to me. I will be calling you, Ms. Miller, this week. Again, I do apologize profusely. Was not expecting Dad to play Evel Knievel. He will be okay, maybe. But I just want you guys to realize that although we're going to put this on a hold for 6 months, LIHEAP only pays up to $1,000. And I know that my household alone in the winter, because we all know that well, we may not all know, I live in a house from the 1800s. It's horsehair, boards, and penny nails, if those of you who can go back that far with me. Brick that is falling apart, and I don't have $75,000 to replace it. But we're going to be $400 or $500 into electric because we don't have regular heat. We depend on kerosene and what we get from the borough. To my father, who is 77, I am currently not working right now due to a work injury. We're now asking him to work extra hours. He already works 3 jobs, plus his retirement from the borough, which I'm thankful for. But I think when in 6 months, when we come back to discuss this again, we really need to take in consideration those of our elderly. We do have some single parents. We have people who are striving every day to do what they can, working at McDonald's to try to make $1. And I know we can't fix the world. We just can't. And everything is going to go up. We've seen it ridiculously, $13 for a dozen eggs. I'll go steal somebody's chicken before I pay $13 for a dozen eggs. But I really do think that in 6 months we need to come back, and we all need to come back, the residents included. They need to be here.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely need to be in here filling this room. But we need to come back. We need to get a little more feedback from the residents, whether it's a mailer, which I agree with Miss Lloyd, or something. My dad's 77. He uses Facebook. Kind of fine. But 6 months, we're looking at another raise, possibly. 6 months, we're still in LIHEAP if we're getting checks. 6 months means I'm going to have to go get 2 full-time jobs, and my daughter, who is disabled, for those who do not know, will have to also go try to get a full-time job, and she doesn't speak to anybody outside of Angie. And it's only because of her Halloween decorations, I'm sorry. But I really think that I don't agree with the decision that was made tonight. I apologize profusely. I don't agree with 6 months when we could have held it off for a year. However, that's your decision, and you are voting in your mind for what is best for us as residents. But while you're making those votes, remember that we are coming up on a very hard winter, and this is supposed to be a very bad winter this year. And the last thing I want to see is any firefighter getting hurt, or anybody literally having to not have any heat at all, and somebody has to walk in on that party. But I do want to thank you all for being here this evening.
Thank you.
And hopefully in 6 months, we can find some type of resolution that's a little more long-term than the 6 months for the residents who, as much as we love this town, we're getting kind of tired.
Can I ask you, you said about the LIHEAP, is that $1,000
So LIHEAP,
for the year?
so they get one, we start taking applications. I'm no longer at the Department of Welfare, I'll make that very clear. However, when I was there, we start taking applications early for those people. We started taking them the end of last month. We take those for early people who have already applied. However, that is for the entire year. So you get $1,000. So let's say Miss Angie has a back bill of $1,000. Guess where that $1,000 is? There's 2 places that $1,000 is going to go. This is where I need the borough to step in and figure out the rules of LIHEAP. I'm not able to do it. So either Miss Angie is going to get a check in the mail. Are you okay? Okay. So either
I didn't drink out of it.
So either Miss Angie's going to get a check in the mail for $1,000, and the borough's never going to see it because that check's made to her, or the borough can tell LIHEAP and the Department of Health and Welfare they now want those checks made to them. If there's $500 owed to us, $500 comes to us, $500 goes to Let's say they have UGI, 500 can go to them.
Mm.
But yes, so we may not get any money.
Okay.
But again, unfortunately that's because of our federal government, and that's not for us.
That's not our, that's
But
not our problem.
if you think just of the few months and heavy winters,
Yeah.
now some of us have great houses that are insulated and fabulous, and then I know Jim's got an older house. I have a much older house, and you don't keep heating them. Like every room in my home has a heater, and that's 6 rooms. Now they're not all when we're not in there. I am conscious, and I will turn things off in a second. But $1,000 doesn't go far. So again, I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for taking your time tonight. We can always disagree to agree, because that's what adults do. However, I think in 6 months, we need to come back to this table with a much better plan than the one we currently have. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Jan Webb, 735 Dietrich Avenue. And I just want to say thank you. Okay? It would have been very disenfranchising as a resident of Middletown to not have a local budget, a state budget, or a federal budget. There comes a time where we need to have progress. And I thank you for that. And I also want to say that social media isn't always the will of the people by one person. It is the will of the people altogether. And so that does mean packing a room. That does mean voicing your opinion on social media. It does mean flyers. It is not just social media that defines us.
Thank you.
All right,
You're not a bad thing.
I'm glad you passed something. I'm still, like the lady said, disappointed, because all you people that are on council need to start coming down to the bottom end of Middletown that you don't come at, and talk to the people down there, and you're going to see how bad they are and how much they need help.
Sir,
So you,
I live there.
yeah,
I know what's going on at that end of town.
you know how much on Ann Street and South Catherine?
Say again?
On Ann Street and South Catherine?
What about it?
Have you come down and see, not to be smart, single parents, people that are struggling, they have to beg and borrow for everything they have. You haven't been down there lately.
Not lately. I've
Right.
I've been around Genesis Court. I've been.
But you're on top. I'm talking come down.
there-
Down.
As far as I'm concerned, there is no down in that area.
Well, as far as I'm concerned,
It's the neighborhood.
they say it's the upper end and the lower end. We're the lower end. And the lower end is more poverty. Is that how you say it? It's more poverty, more single people, more people that don't have money that need our help. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad you did 6 months, but I'm hoping you do another 6 months, because you need, as people, need to come down and talk to the people and not just going on social media or a little piece of paper. Come down and get to know your people in the borough. I met 250 people, and there are a lot of elderly, there's a lot of single parents, and I even went to a football game because the lady's working 2 jobs. She has a child that plays football, and nobody goes to see him. Me and my wife went to see him, so he had somebody. That's what I'm saying. You need to come down on the lower end, I call it, and start reaching out and talk to your people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Kelly Bauer. I live at 132 Spruce Street. I just want to echo what other people have said this evening about the use of social media and engaging with people in the borough. I think social media is a good tool. I think it does engage a lot of people in a small amount of time. But as elected officials, I think it's imperative that there's that face-to-face contact with the people that are voting for you guys to sit here. So I definitely agree that there should be more in-person, face-to-face contact and discussion with residents about what's going on and how the decisions made here will affect them. So I definitely agree with the having town halls, sending out flyers, definitely what the gentleman before me was talking about, meeting with residents, is important, and I think it's an imperative part of the job of being a member of the council. So just want to voice my support for that. For what people were saying, just saying in support of making that face-to-face contact with residents of the borough. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry for running in here fast and furious, but didn't want to miss public comment since I was so kindly brought up. For those of you that don't know, I'm the one that was up here last week talking about not being included and not seeing the surveys or not getting a chance to provide my feedback. Regardless of what Mr. Curry may have said about me watching the videos, you're correct, sir. I do definitely watch to see what it is you're saying. I can promise you if there's a like, it was a slip of the finger, not because I agree with you. I don't know if you remember, but shortly after you became mayor, you blocked me on your Facebook page, which I found to be very concerning as a public official in my town who I voted for. And so we're not friends on Facebook. I have to come look at your page to see what you're saying. So how are the people that aren't your friends included in your little polls? And let me also say this. One of the reasons you blocked me was because you tend to delete comments that you don't like, sir. That don't agree with you, I'm talking, that don't agree with you. And so I find it really interesting that you made the comment of, she could have commented and gave her opinion. Are you telling me you don't have one person that told you they don't like it? Because that's exactly right, because you're talking to your friends, sir. You're talking to your friends. You just heard people come up here and say they're not in favor of it. Are we not people? Are we not the people? You don't dictate who the people are based on who your friends are and who you want to get your information from. Understood? Because we're all people, and you represent all of us. And I don't feel comfortable commenting because I don't want to get attacked by your little crew. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
It's not a comment, but I will go on tonight to Middletown's page. If anybody can go to the other Middletown page, I will post a list of food banks, places to get hot meals, places to get clothing, and all of that, so that our residents have it. And then I will make up some packets, and I'll stick them at the police station, so that people can grab them there to try to help those in this situation.
That's a good idea, Jen, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none?
I have one.
Oh.
Do you want me at the podium, or can I do it from here? Jim Curry, 463 North Union Street, Middletown, Pennsylvania. I blocked you because of national...
Is it appropriate for him to respond to me after I made public comment?
I most certainly can.
Do you know the rules of the council meeting? That's the problem. Nobody knows the rules around here. Go ahead, sir. I can take it. I can take it. So please do. I hope I get to stand back up and rebut again.
Okay.
Holy shit. Go ahead.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay. That was because of national politics And so after I was advised by actually Mr. Bob Hauser came to a council meeting and said to this body, because I wasn't the only one that blocked people on Facebook, Mr. Hauser came here and said to all of you council members sitting here, here is the newest development in the law, and I think Mr. Diamond will back me, that elected officials are not permitted to block anyone. And so I had to unblock everybody. My page is open to the world. If somebody wants to come on there, you want to go on there tonight and say Jim Curry's a horrible person, go ahead and do it. My posts about this electric rate situation have been open to the public at large for months and months and months, and there has been debate. Some of the people who spoke here tonight have commented and went back and forth with residents. If that's something you're not comfortable doing, I can't help you there, but you have the option to do it if you want to do it. I never said that you liked something because you agreed. I'm just pointing out I knew that you were there. That was the point that I was trying to make earlier. And the fact that you are able to see it, all these people who are saying, well, you know, social media can't be the end-all and be-all. I never said it was the end-all and be-all. I said we should have got it out on the back of the bills far earlier than we did. You can walk door to door, but the bottom line is there's a reason that the prior president of the United States, the current president of the United States, all of your congressmen, all of your senators, they use social media because that's where the audience is. So what I'm saying is it's the biggest reach. It's not the only reach, but it's the biggest reach. And I could say comfortably and sleep very soundly tonight knowing that on this topic, I brought forth more input from the public than anybody sitting at this table. That's the God's honest truth. And that's all I wanted to say.
Don't forget from your friends.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
I have one other comment to make, and then we'll ask for adjournment. We have stepped up communication with the residents. If you get a paper bill in the mail, the information is on the back. If you get an online bill, I believe finance has set it up that you get a pop-up screen with the same information that's on the printed bill. There is an information box at the drop box in the parking lot. If something's going on, please take a paper out of there. That's your information. And if you ever have questions, you can call anyone sitting at this table. So, that's all I have.
If he goes again, I want to go again.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Sorry.
This is a
Let people talk. They want to talk, let them talk. I mean, you guys work for the people, not yourself.
we do work for the people.
Let them talk.
But there's rules.
There's rules.
You gotta follow
It-
the rules. And I'm okay with that, Judy. I'm just saying, I get it.
Okay.
You guys are going to do what you want anyways. What's the point? I see this lady here at the end smoking cigarettes all the time. She don't engage any, not you, man. This one here, Angela, smoking cigarettes.
Oh, no, no, we're not
That's
doing
enough.
that. We're not doing
That's
that.
enough.
Mm-mm.
Get the police up here.
Smoke cigarettes, whatever.
See,
they
I
want
told
to,
you, Jim.
goddamn right. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
You're gonna have to go. You can't be quiet.
Okay, sorry.
Now I do have something. I'm sorry, who are you? Because I don't think we've met.
I don't know you, you don't know me.
Good.
Just you should smoke.
Actually, so, I do have something else. Excuse me one moment while I get into my folder, since I'm prepared, but I gotta get it out.
Somebody should not let Curry, somebody should not let Ken out there by himself.
Is he or Ken out there by himself?
I'm sure he's fine.
I would like to, on the next meeting agenda, discuss, where's Ken? Should I wait for
Go
Ken?
ahead.
Okay. So, in September and again on August 1st, you had made a request to the mayor to have an officer at our meeting, and that request was denied.
Yep.
So I would like at our next agenda to discuss the borough hiring outside security at our meetings. So I would like that on the next agenda, please.
Grace, did you get that?
for this reason exactly.
Are you taking a poll? Because I heard her say it. I didn't hear anyone say they agree.
Well, I'm in favor of it because I
She
requested
asked for
it to be.
placed on the agenda.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? So we just heard Mayor Curry brings up the electric thing, but we couldn't do anything because it wasn't on the agenda. But tonight, bam, you want private security? It's on the agenda for the next meeting. You are all very revealing. You are so very revealing. You're going to kick the other guy out but not her? Okay.
I think that the point that we're missing is that we requested to have an officer at the meetings for this reason, and you denied it.
I certainly did. But what's so revealing about what you just said is that you want on the agenda.
I asked for it to be put
May I
on the
speak,
agenda.
Mr. President? May I speak? You just asked Miss Grace to put on the agenda for the next meeting. We have never talked at this council table about private security. Never once have you brought it up at this table. But now tonight, you're going to move to put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Discussion. I didn't
yeah.
vote for it. I
Yeah.
said for discussion.
And how many times did you put on the agenda for discussion anything that I brought up with regard to this electric rate increase? You just said.
You could put it on the
I'm still
agenda.
talking.
Did you ever put
I
it
don't
on
set the agenda. She does.
You could have asked her to put it on the agenda just like I did right now. You just missed that
You guys
point.
are laughable. It's
No,
laughable.
you're laughable. You could have
Until
done
I am no
exactly what
longer
I've
mayor,
done.
until I'm no longer mayor, you're not getting a cop at these meetings. You're not.
So I know you made that very clear.
So
That's
hire your
why-
private security.
That's right. That's
Hire
why I
private
just
security.
asked for security because the head of the police department denied
I
the
most certainly
request
did.
for a police officer.
I most certainly did because
Right.
it came after you were threatened by a 70-some-year-old man with a cane
I
who
didn't
spoke
say I
up.
was threatened
I could
by
take
it.
Holly
Really?
Senior
No,
Oris
you
yelling
were
at me all night long.
It
That's the
doesn't
gentleman
matter.
that you referenced.
It
You said
doesn't
you wanted it
matter.
after that meeting.
What's sad?
Because it happened, not that I was afraid of him.
Well, then why are you asking for a cop? Because a guy with a cane was yelling at you because he was disappointed in your
Is there
decision.
anything else?
You guys
Let's
are
end-
cowards.
Let's end this.
Cowards.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Cowards?
to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved.
Wow.
Cowards.
You have a motion?
Wow.
Second?
And you have more
You should
people
be
watching.
ashamed of
And to
yourself.
the point of social media, you have more people watching now than the maximum capacity of this room.
Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thanks, Rich. See you.
Wow.
Yeah.
How quickly something gets put on the agenda. Amazing.
Maybe we'll just discuss it.
I followed procedure and asked.
I've been talking to you about this since the